Hello to my fellow history lovers and people who think if I learn something new, it will be a good day. This is a timeless story of revenge that I think is an interesting story, and you'll learn a lot. The second part gets a bit morbid, so you can skip that if you want to. But we'll start here by saying there is a man named Thomas Burnfoot Brown, and there's a reason he's called Burnfoot. And it gets morbid, and we'll get to that into part two, but let's just summarize by saying a group of Liberty boys will torture him, and essentially, he's a loyalist, will create in him their worst enemy who is looking back thinking eye for an eye. But first of all, let's kind of get the situation set up before we get to the Battle of Alligator Creek. So Florida is held by the British. They also hold Canada. So basically they bookend the colonies, and naturally the colonies, the Continental Army is thinking if we could, kick out that bottom part and get that back, it would help a lot. So they start what they call the Florida Expedition. And the first guy in charge of this, interestingly, he is Mr. Charles Lee. And you think, wait, there's something weird about that guy. You're right. The Charles Lee, and I did a video and I'll link it, is the guy who was way high up, second or third in command in the Army, Continental Army, American Army. And he thinks he should have Washington's job very much. In fact, he's sort of frothing at the mouth thinking he hasn't been appreciated enough. He's captured by the British, held for like 16 months, and to save his own neck, he writes Mr. Lee's plan, which lays out in detail how the British can basically destroy the Congress, destroy Washington's army, and win. But nobody finds this letter until it's in the British archives, like almost, I think, 1880s or something it's found. Maybe it was 1850s. Anyway, long after his death. Meanwhile, he's in prison, and Washington, having no idea that that his general has written an entire letter to destroy the Union, has come along and had a prisoner exchange and puts him back into charge, basically back in charge. But at the upcoming Battle of Monmouth, he will do some pretty questionable, strange things, and Washington calls him out, thinking, why the heck would you do that? I think he ordered a retreat that didn't make any sense. And Congress also is looking at that thinking that's a little strange, and eventually he'll be kicked out. But that's all just to tell you that he's the first guy assigned to Florida. Now, two more guys are going to be assigned, and one is a Georgia militia, and one is the Continental Army. And they have their own problems because the militia really looks at the Continental Army thinking, you guys are too slow, you're a bunch of rules, we don't really want to follow that. And then the Continentals look at militia and think you guys are the most undisciplined, like kind of reckless, crazy guys out there. So there's a lot of tension between the two of them, but they are the ones who are supposed to take Florida. So we'll talk about that and Thomas Burnfoot Brown in the next video. Thanks.